Hello everybody and welcome back to Moneyball. Now this is going to be an incredibly exciting episode. There's been a lot of changes and I can't wait to bring so much of it to you. Let's run the intro and get into the episode. Welcome everybody. So here we go. Right, first thing I did is I've now managed to get the columns and the sort of like views that we had, the custom views we had in the scouting, we now got in the squad page. You cannot carry them over, you've got to redo them unless I missed how to do it. So this is like the centre back one now. So now we can actually select our players looking exactly at the stats that we need right here, like before a match. So that's going to be good for when we nail down exactly what we want. Now I'm so excited about, like, one, the tactical change, but two, how we're going to start to use some of this data going forwards, right? So why do we change to a back four? We change to a back four because everybody else that gets promoted and does well in this league is playing a back four. So that's the way to go. That's what we have to strive towards, right? But the whole point, like the Moneyball system, as they show in the film and in the book, is, as they show in the film and in the book, like, if for us to get promoted, we don't need to go and buy a team as good as the teams that are currently above us. We don't need to do that. What we need to do is to try and buy and recruit the same level of stats. Right, that's what we're trying to do here. Trying to beat the system. You know, we're trying to flip the table on whoever's got the most money and beat them like the card counters at a casino. We're going to flip the odds on everybody. So look at the tactic now. This is the tactic. It's a 4-4-2 deep with DMs. Basically, it's a flat 4-4-2. You think of it in your head, but it's just that in FM, if you play on attacking mentality with these in the central fielder areas, they'll get quite high quite early, and I just don't like the way that it plays. Whereas I think the DMs, it's a lot more realistic to how pivots might play in a 4-4-2, the way that I've got it set up anyway. So that's how we do that. I don't necessarily like the wingers up there, but it just complements the tactic well when they're high and they're low, rather than having them here as well. I don't think the tactic works as well. So we're going to have them like set like this. Now, going into the tactic specifically here, the goalkeeper we can just ignore. A half-decent goalkeeper that can play out the back. Doesn't need to be great at it. Just a normal goalkeeper, that's not a problem. Right, centre-backs. We've got an orthodox sort of centre-back that's got to be good in the air, can mark, can tackle, be aggressive in the left centre-back role. Right centre-back can do all of that, but has to be good on the ball. The reason is, because they have the box midfielder in front of them, there's going to be space to drive into, and especially teams that depending on how they set up against us, that might be something that we need. We need that defender to drive out from the back, especially when we play against teams that sit back against us. So that has to be a ball-playing defender that can at least dribble and travel with the ball. That's sort of slightly required for this role. So that's two centre-backs. Now, they all sort of combine and link together from this sort of point forward. So on the right-hand side, we've got the ball-playing defender behind the box-to-box midfielder who's going to go. So we want our right-back to be slightly more defensive than left-back, at least in terms of the position he takes up. So it's not like we would deliberately buy a defensive left-back that can't attack. We want them to be able to attack, but they have to be good defensively, whereas the left back has more license to just be good going forwards. And the reason for that is the left back, when he attacks, he's got the deep line playmaker support here. So when we attack on the left side, the deep line playmaker will hold his position, he won't go and join the attack as much, and it will allow the left back to just go and attack and be a lot more free to do so, whereas the full back here can't because the box midfielder will be quite high. And so that's how it sort of balances out. I've gone with wing back and full back. I did before have complete wing back and wing back, so I'm going to try this and see if this works, but it doesn't really matter what the roles are. That's the profile of player, that's what we're going to recruit towards, and I've already set up the custom views for that. So yeah, sitting midfielder, it says playmaker, but really this is a defensive midfield player, pivot player. The reason they're a playmaker role is just the way that it plays in possession. It's a lot easier for them to, they help us get out from the defense, but crucially also they don't go bombing forwards. So just because it says deep line playmaker support doesn't mean that they have to be a Xavi or a PLO. First and foremost, they're a pivot player first, and they can be good technically second. That's really the holding player. Holding player, box player, like 4-4-2. Now, these roles might change a little, but predominantly what we've got here, we've got the support duty this side for the main reason that he's going to have the box-to-box midfielder supporting on his side. So he needs to, first of all, crucially stay wider. The reason I put inverted winger, not orthodox wingers, I just feel like orthodox winger on this current match engine doesn't seem to do well for me personally. So, and as an inverted winger, if he's naturally right-footed and he's got to stay wider on, he's already going to be out on the right. And then if he's right-footed and he gets the ball to feet, he's going to dribble at players anyway and go on the outside. So it doesn't really matter that he's inverted winger. The only reason I have inverted winger is to make him slightly more likely to travel inside as well at times. It makes him slightly more unpredictable, but he'll predominantly do what a winger does anyway. It's not going to make too much of a difference. And obviously the support duty makes him slightly better defensively because he's got a box midfielder at his side. So we need to be a bit more solid on this side of the pitch. And this side here, this is a currently inverted winger. They do tend to get caught a little deep at times, inverted wingers. So I might put him to an inside forwards. And because he's got the freedom to go, right? He's got the freedom to go forwards and to occupy like in the half space here because he's going to get his width from the wing back, and the deep line playmaker is not going to take his space. So it works out really well. And then you've got your bigger strikers here, and the in-behind striker is there. And the way it sort of works is that if the ball gets to the right winger, this is our sort of dynamic side. If it gets to this side, it's going to be quick attacks, explode, try and get the ball through to the striker in behind here. If we build up possession, it's going to be probably a cross or a cut back from this side to the left, where you've got a number 10 here and the big man at the back post, or the bigger striker. So this striker has to be at least good in the air. Doesn't mean he has to be 6'7", but he has to be able to win headers. It allows us to get out from defence easier and allows us crossing from right to left, gives us a threat that side, right? And this player has to be able to run in behind. If they've got other stuff to their game, that's great. But in terms of Moneyball, those are the things that we absolutely need. Because of the way it's set up, the one thing we don't really need to buy is an attacking left-footed winger, unless they're going to play left back, because if they join us, we want this player to cut inside and to create the space for the wing back. So if he's left-footed, if he's here, he cuts into the space of the box-to-box midfielder, and if he's there and he goes on the outside, he takes the space away from the winger. So a left-footed winger is something that we're never going to buy or use. So that's really important for us. It makes it easier, I suppose. And that's pretty much the tactic. So just like the film and the book, right? Now we know our tactic. We know what we're going to work towards. The exciting part of this now is what we look at is we think, right, okay, the other teams that play for at the back, the whole point of this is that we don't need to go and buy an equivalent player of their left centre-back to be our left centre-back next year to get promoted, right? Because we can't afford it. We don't need a player as good as their left centre-back. What we need is a player that can produce the same amount of stats as their left centre-back. That's the important thing, right? Trying to flip the table and flip the odds on the teams with the most money. So we don't need to buy the same level of players as them, but we need to just get somebody who can produce the same amount of stats. So, for example, if the top 5 teams, all of their left centre-backs, on average, if we take all of them, and the average is that the left centre-back makes, 2 key tackles per game, wins 86% of their headers, and doesn't commit more than 5 fouls a game. If it's something like that, that's how we're then going to go, okay, that's what we're going to buy next season. We're going to buy a left centre-back that wins 86% of their headers, commits less than 5 fouls a game. Do you see what I mean? That's how we're going to sort of go for it. So let's do like a trial run of that. So we definitely need a centre-back next season. We've got a lot of full-backs now, and we've got a lot of hybrid centre-backs. We need a centre-back. So let's go and look at the top teams here in the Championship. By the way, I absolutely love the fact that I could just put my custom view onto their squad. It's brilliant. I'm not going to spend a load of time doing this because we can't actually buy any players. I'm just going to show you one example. So what we're going to take is we're going to take the left centre-back from the top 3 teams here, okay? And we're going to take headers 1 per 90 minutes of all 3 players. So Chris Basham, let's make sure we note this down, is 11.34. So I'm just get my notes out here. We go 11.34. Fulham have Alfie Mawson, headers 1 per 90 minutes, and it's 12.62. Blackburn Rovers, they have this lad here, and it's 14.40. That's actually quite high. Okay, then I'm going to take a calculator here, and I'm going to type in all these numbers in. So we're going to start off with 11.34, add 12.62, add 14.40. That gives us 38.36. So we divide that by 3, which is the 3 players that we had. So 12.78 that comes to rounded. So if you take all those 3 players and put them into one player, on average, you would need a centre-back that wins the headers per 90 minutes 12.7 times. So now we go to our player search. We're going to go look at a centre-back. Custom view, let's get our centre-back custom view in. This feels so scientific. Aerial challenges per 90 minutes. Obviously, we would use it probably, I wouldn't just use aerial challenges. You probably would use headers 1 per 90 minutes is what you would use. Just an example. And for us, okay, let's say we can't get World Puppets next season either. Let's go English, National English. So we're looking for a player that averages 12.7 is what we're looking for. So we can afford to go all the way down here. So anybody in this list here fits our, but anybody above, there's more above this, but they're all going to be the expensive centre-backs. But everybody here fits that one criteria. Now, obviously, we are looking at just one statistic here. If we were doing this at the end of the season, we would do this for every single major category for centre-back and then search that for one player. Because there might only be like 2 or 3 players in the entire football pyramid that have got all those stats high enough, but then that's the players that we're going to go for. to factor in level of football as well, I think, a little bit, but it would be interesting to see what comes up anyway. Younger is somebody I would look at. He seems to have very good stats across the board. The one we're looking at is high. It's much higher than what we're looking for. His aerial challenge is also quite high, which means he faces a lot in the air. But he's got a lot of interceptions per 90 minutes. His tackles are pretty good. His tackle ratio is impressive. Like, you just look across the board, he's got a smaller sample size, but he's somebody I would scout and investigate going into next season. Like, that's somebody who I would start scouting in, like, I don't know, maybe February. Let him have all the scout reports come back in time for when we get our budgets. And he's somebody who I would look at. So that's just to give you a little taster of how we're going to go about it. We're going to use the top teams in our division and use their own data against them and try and recruit players that are much cheaper than the players they've got, but that offer the same productivity. That's how we're going to flip the table and turn the tables on all these top sides with more money than us next season, because we're not going to get a lot. And that's Moneyball. That's Moneyball right there. We've just done a small example of what Moneyball would be. Obviously, like I just said, when it eventually does come for us to sign a centre-back, it won't just be that one stat. We'll look all the way across the board. And I'll obviously do a lot of that off camera and just bring you the raw stats. So you will know. I'll already have calculated, the averages. And I probably would take more than top 3. I'll probably go top 5. 5th up are the top teams. They're all pretty close together. So probably look at that. But that's if we don't go up. We still have a chance. And in today's episode, we are going to play a game. We're going to end the transfer window. I don't think we're going to sign anybody unless there's a loan. And then we're going to play our game against Cardiff. But I wanted to explain to you the new tactic, and so that you had an understanding of how it's going to work and the kind of players we're looking for. And then how we're going to look to recruit players into this tactic and how specific we're going to be. I wanted to give it a go and try and sign players into 3-5-2, which we did, and we saw it wasn't going to work. And I'm also able to bring you now that we've got all these views whenever we want to use them. I do love these. These are class. Obviously, the new one's going to be winger because we haven't had wingers before, so that's a new one to come in. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this all goes. So I'll just click through here the next couple of days, and we'll see if anybody comes up, if there's anybody to sign. If there's not, I'll see you before the Cardiff game, and we'll select a team in our 4-4-2 based on our current stats we've got, albeit from a different formation, but should still apply decently well. So we'll see you in a second for that. Okay, everybody, you didn't miss any transfers at all. We didn't bring anybody in. There was nobody to get on loan even for free. So finances are currently 2.8 million. We're going to lose a lot of money though over the next few months because we've sort of overspent a little. Hopefully our statistical approach will save us. The Moneyball strategy will save us, but we'll see. So the goalkeeper, we don't need any help with that. That's going to be Daniel Bentley. He hasn't really had a chance to get his stats up yet. I want to see what he does. We'll then look at, I guess, centre-backs first. Okay, I've already seen here. I probably should put dribbles per game on this because it's nice to know if they travel with the ball or not. So let's throw this in, I guess, somewhere. Insert column, stats general, stats chalkboard, movement, dribbles made per 90 minutes. So pretty much got all the defending stuff that's important here, then it's appearances, and then it's some in possession stuff right there. I'll probably refine this a little bit for the next season. So centre-backs then. So headers 1 per 90 minutes, what we're looking at. Headers 1 ratio is important, I think, a little bit. Kitching, I don't think is very good. I really don't think is very good at all, but he's our only real centre-back. Matthew Plant looks really good on the stats, apart from the fact that we concede nearly 5 goals a game when he's in the team. So that right there eradicates all your other stats, Matthew. Liam Kitchen is one of our best. I mean, he's got the opposite. See, him and Matthew Plant are the opposite. Matthew Plant beats him in every stat defensively there, except he doesn't tackle, apparently. That's not good. But except for this, it switches. So I'm going to go with Liam Kitchen definitely for one of them. And the other one, though, is an interesting one. So many of these players haven't really played. There is a auto-sized all columns. Sometimes it messes up, though. It's worked out right. Okay, so it's important to look at the appearances here. So we've got all the appearances next to us. So it's going to be, I think, Kitchen will be one of them. So the next one's going to be the ball-playing one. And that could be dribbles per game is important to look at as well. So Jordan Williams is the first one I think of, and his dribbling per game isn't as high, but some of these have played wing back. That's gonna mess up some of our stats this season because we've got players that have played in so many different positions, like James Bree, who could play centre back. He's played wing back. That's why he's so high. So I mean, I suppose really it's only between Williams, Kitching, and Plant because I don't really trust anybody else as an orthodox fullback. Maybe Kake, potentially. I mean, Kake could do it. His pass completion is extremely high. He's got a small sample size. Interception isn't bad. Let's try and just look at him and Jordan Williams for a second here. So their win percentage. So the heading win percentage is actually high for Kake. Interceptions per 90, high for Williams. Tackling's high for Kake. That's fouls is much higher for Williams, but that's total fouls, right? That's not fair to look at that. Key tackles also total key tackles. That doesn't count. Pass completion ratio 95 to 90. And then travelling with the ball, he's played wing back though, so that's not entirely fair. Dribbles per 90. Hang on, he's not had a single dribble with it. He's had 2 starts and not dribbled with it once in the back 3. Okay. I think that tells me everything I need to know about that. So it's going to be Jordan Williams. But Kake does need more of a... he does need more starts to see what he brings up in his stats. So, okay, swing back. So next, this is going to be interesting. There's a lot of different players swing back. I think what I could do is just highlight all of them to make it easier to see. In Barku's, I'm probably going to use an attacking player, so he's not really in for wing back anymore. Not in a back 4 anyway. So, left wing back, I mean, dribbles per game. Remy Vita's not really going to get beaten by anybody. I suppose Odor's the only player who could play left wing back. He probably will be our backup left back now, I would think, because I want a natural left footer there. So, I mean, he could, but, I mean, if you look at Remy Vita to Odor, if we look at that for a second, like, that's the more attacking one, far more dribbles per 90 minutes, so that's really important. In the air, there's not much difference between them. Tackles, he's higher. Tackle ratio, he's about the same. Key tackles, a bit unfair because they've had a lot of different kind of games. But it's quite similar, but he is much better in possession. So from that, I think that's quite easy. Remy Vita plays left back. Although, I mean, actually, I keep thinking about Boller, but he's not in for this game, he's injured, but he could be a centre-back or a full-back. So then right back, we've basically got 3 options. You've got James Bree, Kake, or Vincent. So Kake is a wing-back, hasn't dribbled yet, so we could see if he could do that job and play better there. In reality, do we think James Bree is going to be good? James Bree is going to be good enough as an attacking wing-back? His tackles per game is okay. I mean, he's quite good. It's hard to go against James Bree without giving him a chance. Because if they're that close, there's nobody really is an outlier. I think he's really got to play. Central field, I mean, Ryan Ledson's not really had a chance yet, so he'll go in as the pivot player. And the box to boxer, that's a shame that he's left-footed, really. I don't think he's very fast, Ledson. So I guess we could try Ledson as a box to boxer. We'll try that for one game and see how that goes. Wingers, I mean, this is a take your pick sort of scenario here. Because of the fact that Coyote is going to have to play striker for this match at least, it's probably just between those 3. So dribbles per match is the first thing I look at. Barkusen's definitely in. Cornick's played as a striker a bit, but he's not really dribbling that much, which is not good. Burkhardt has had a lot of sub appearances, but he is dribbling more at players, and he plays striker as well. Chance conversion, not need to bother about that. Assist per 90. Burkhardt hasn't had a single assist yet. Team conceded per 90. Burkhart's really bad for that. Like, we concede a lot of goals when he's on the pitch, and we don't ever win. So I'm going to go based on, I mean, when there's not too much to decide between them, I'm going to go off for things like that, I think. I can't think of anything else to decide them. They're both really close. So we'll go with that for now. And then there isn't really too much to choose here. I'm going to just go with Coyote and Rio Griffiths with Burkhardt on the bench, Aaron Leah, and then the rest can just fill in onto the bench there. The overview always looks a bit easier to look at there. So we've got no player over 50% win rate. Daniel Johnson's the highest, I think, with 50. So we need some winners. So we need really Kane, Vincent Young to be playing as well to get our winners in the team. Herbie Kane as well. We'll see how the team goes. First match in the 4-4-2. Manager says, got them put on a show. Look at that. They're playing 3-5-2 against us. What a troll that is. What a troll by Cardiff City. They're going to beat us now, aren't they? They're going to beat us playing 3-5-2. First highlight of the game is to Cardiff City by the looks of it. Josh Cody presses. They're going to play out from the back. They're going to get away with the ball to here, to this point. Oh, and they might get in. They sort of are in. And the keeper saves it easily. Vita has it. There isn't Rio Griffiths. Rio Griffiths into Vita. Plays it early into Cornick. Left-hand side plays to Rio Griffiths. It's headed away. Ledson plays into Cornick, who might be offside. Nope. The play continues. Vita plays it in early. Barku's the far post. Surely he should have scored that. Come on. Corner for us. It's whipped in. It's headed away. It's going to be 2v2 here. Somebody's got to get out to him. Oh, it's going to be a bad highlight for us, this, if we can't get to it there. Jesus Christ, they're in goal. He's going to win the ball here. Williams, Ledson. I put Ledson to go into volante attack by the... just so you're aware. Kitching plays it across to Williams. Williams now back to Kitching, to Cornick. You've got your left back. Here he is, the attacking wing back on the left. Whips it in. Coyote, and it was nearly perfect. Free kick for Cardiff, whipped in. Goal, 2-0. Corner's whipped in, far post. Goal, 2-1. Alea Kitching has it. He plays it to Vita, to Iseka, to Josh Coyote. Yes, come on, 2-2. Do we go for this? I don't know if we should go for this or not. Good run, Josh. 2 players up front linking up well. Also, it's not just they're linking up well, but their fullbacks have to actually occupy somebody now. They have to go and mark our wingers. No wing backs even, I suppose. Last one, let's just go for this. If we're going to get into the playoffs, we need to win as many games as possible, and we need to win home games in particular, so probably should be going for this. Before we do, though, Jamesbury gets to it. He's going to play it into Barkusen to Bassi. Bassi plays it through to Aaron. He's going to hopefully not shoot. Doesn't. Coyote. Oh, it's over. No, it's 2-2. James Beer wing back attack, but Select take more risks for him, so he gets the more sort of places directly into the striker in behind or to the winger, then support from deep, like a fullback, but just changing his role. And I think this needs to be an attack duty. Because he's in the DMs now, I want to get a little bit higher than he currently is, so let's go him with Segunda Volante attack. And we'll probably just try that for the next game and see what happens. The team needs to get used to it now, though, because they're not going to be very familiar with it. That's going to do the episode. Hopefully, you're up to date now and you're enjoying the fact that we've got this new set. We've got this new set playing philosophy we're going to go towards and use the Moneyball system to interact and to support that. And you can see where the Moneyball system is going to go going forwards. So now we're sort of set on that. Let's skip a few games and let's come back for, I think, maybe Hull and Middlesbrough. We'll come back for these two here. So an away game against Hull, then a home game against Middlesbrough, and that'll set us up then for going into March. So let's have a look at it. So let's have a look in these games, see how we're getting on, and see how the tactics going, and see what changes need to be made. But yeah, that's going to do it. Thank you very much for watching the episode, and I will see you next time.